Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Uncle Junior Network. We are live and coming to you all the way from different parts of the country. And with us today on the panel, we have myself, the Uncle Junior. We have Mr. Antoine Christopher, the one with the slicked hair, the thumbs up, and over there munching on something. I don't know what he eating on, but it looked good. Over there at the bottom with the red shirt on, Mr. Victor Viziant, Mr. Accountability himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the mindset coach himself, Mr. Dwayne Dwyer. And from across the table with Chris, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher McClellan. I always jack it up, man. I got this mouth, brother.
Listen, man, everybody butchers my last name. It's all good.
I'm gonna get it one day. One day I'm gonna get it. That's why it's
Coach got
just
it right. Coach
yeah,
got it
Coach
right.
Smart though. Coach be in the books. You know what I'm saying? And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new member of the Wolf Pack, one of my early soldiers from when I was a young buck sergeant. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Huber. How are you doing today, Jonathan?
Doing great. Thank you for having me tonight.
And we're glad to have you here. So I'm gonna give you about a minute or two to introduce yourself to the panel and to the audience so they can know who you are, what you're about, and all of those good things.
So, my name is Jonathan Huber. I've been married 14 years to my lovely wife. We have 4 kids. 3 are boys. One's a girl. Um, Started in the military almost 14 years. But still working with troops as a civilian. I dabble in everything. I do stand-up comedy. I help bartend some restaurants, get them up and going. Coach young youth sports. I do a little bit of everything.
Man, well, we already are glad to have you here, man. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come over here and hang with us tonight, man. Welcome to the show. Um, I already asked the pack how they doing. I want to take a couple of minutes to go over a couple of little things. First of all, I want to thank everybody who is watching tonight, either at home, in chat, or on the phone, or wherever you may be looking at this at, Facebook or LinkedIn. Welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy it. I want to take a shot and I would like to thank and make a shout out to the most elevated chat. We appreciate you. Welcome. I want to thank all the military folks. We appreciate you serving our country and doing what you do. Um, and lastly, Coach, every Friday night, you can watch Empowering Perspective podcast, but I can't do it justice by talking about it. So, Coach, please take a second or two to plug your show for Friday night.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Every Friday night at 8 p.m., the Empowering Perspective community hosts the Hearts of Men podcast. Everybody is welcome to come out on Saturday morning. This Saturday, we will also be, it's another show that we host as well called Dream Manifestation. And so, again, yeah, join, welcome. Everybody, come one, come all.
So, am I muted? Oh, I couldn't see the mute button where I move my screen, where I move my screen. So, um, again, welcome to the show to everybody. We're going to just jump right into it. As you know, tonight we are talking about understanding consent and respecting boundaries in a relationship. We may talk a lot about women, and well, not necessarily women, but relationships when it comes to intimacy. But we also understand that a lot of what we talk about when we're speaking about intimate relationship applies to all different types of relationships, whether it's on the work with a coworker, whether it's with somebody you meet on the street, all of these different things like that. So we're about to jump right into it. So where am I lost? I lost my page. All right. So in this episode of Elevated Dialogue, we will be discussing the importance of understanding consent and respecting boundaries in relationships. As men, it is important to be aware of the vital role that consent and boundary setting play in creating healthy and respectful relationships. Our panel of experts will provide insight, advice, and practical tips on how to navigate these issues with sensitivity and empathy. We are going to start by defining what consent is and why it is important for men, or important for or to men. So we'll start with that. And we want to start talking about, what is your personal definition of consent and why is it important in any relationship?
Consent to what? That's what I want to know. What do you, if you're married, she's your woman, where does consent come in? Like, what, honey, you want to make love, or what are we talking? Like, do you have to ask permission to get it on, or what's the consent part?
I
Well,
take that back. I'm not
Go ahead.
playing Antoine tonight.
All right.
I've never seen a man renege so quick.
Hold up. Somebody talk.
So,
Antoine dropping $1 million question up front. I love it.
so in general,
Good question.
in general, like when we were discussing backstage, like terms of consent without involving romantic relationships. And generally speaking, every relationship, there's a level of consent that has to take place before one can proceed without violating boundaries, or just being inconsiderate overall. The goal is to be able to create a space for tangible consent when it comes down to, I guess, validating the worth of the relationship by trading work.
So Antoine's spinning over there. So I will go. I will help.
Yeah, please do.
clarify
Come
that.
on. Come
So-
on in before you do.
When it comes to consent, and when it comes to any relationship that you have, there's going to be a certain level of consent that you need to have in order to proceed further in the relationship. If I want to have a relationship with Vic, there have to be a certain amount or a certain level of consent and boundaries that need to take place in order for the relationship to be a relationship. If I'm not respecting Vic's boundaries and I'm calling him 2 o'clock in the morning, hey bro, man, blah, 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 and he don't like that, it's going to cause a strain in our relationship. If I don't have consent to call Vic, and he really wants me to call him Victor, little things like that. So consent can be little things, it can be big things, but it's just, in order for any relationship to flourish or to go past the first initial contact you have with somebody, there have to be a certain level of consent, and there have to be a certain level of respecting each other's boundaries in order for a relationship to go. Does that make sense, Antoine?
Yeah, so you're talking about like in the beginning when you're getting to know her, correct?
Her, him, anybody, any relationship.
Okay.
But even then too,
So I'll go into a little story time.
do it.
I have fun learning about consent in a relationship. So this happened maybe 5 years ago. We were married over 10 years. In my eyes, I'm the man of the house. I make most of the money. I can spend most of the money, right? Well, one day I brought a dog home without telling her. I just called her and said, hey, I got a dog. Not realizing that's a 10 to 15-year commitment for everybody in the household, and not giving the permission or consent for everyone in the household. Take care of the dog, feed it, water it, take it to the vet. I applied that everybody will do it, and then get mad when they weren't doing it. So I failed to get consent from my spouse, i.e., I got my butt chewed. In the day, we still, we talked it out, we worked it out, but I learned from there on, when to make a decision like that, there's definitely a consent boundary you gotta have.
So I'm gonna say consent is like, I guess, involving her in a decision that may involve the household, right? Like that's a better way of saying it, because consent sounds like kind of like begging kind of thing to me.
See, that's why I kind of steer clear from definitions that sound like asking or requesting or anything of that nature. For me, consent, and I put in the chat, is simply just a shared understanding I think sometimes when we just share information so that the other person understands exactly what to expect, what not to expect, what's going on, so forth and so on, that is enough to gain consent. In some cases, I'd be completely transparent. You don't necessarily have to agree with what it is I'm about to do, but if I think it's in the best interest of the family, and we discuss it from a standpoint, you can disagree, that's okay. But again, when I ask certain questions based upon the forward progression of the entire unit, not just how you feel about it, and you can't find any flaw in the forward progression, then to me that means I'm going to move forward with it. You may not like it right now, but eventually you're going to see the fruits of that decision moving forward. So I kind of want to inject that in initially because a lot of times what we seem to believe is that consent is getting another person's approval. And I don't necessarily agree with that 100% because in some cases, I don't necessarily need an approval to do what it is I'm going to do in relation to the best interests of the unit itself.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make that clear because I'm not asking for nothing. Like I'm not asking your permission to do anything. I'm discussing it with you, and I'll have that discussion. But we ain't having a can I do this or can I go fishing with the boys and I ain't doing any of that, right? Because I don't want her to do any of that with her friends, because we're gonna have a discussion about it.
I'm
But
back in there, Chris. Team
but
Antoine.
but to say permission, no, no. My son will ask for permission. But my wife, no, I'm not doing that. No. You should have a cricket sound right now.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if Vic and well, not Vic, if not Antoine. I'm looking right at Chris. I want to see what Chris had to say.
Chris still
Especially-
processing over there. I was just sitting back.
Yeah, I am because you're not.
He's loading.
Yeah, we're discussing consent on a wider scale than just a male and female dynamic. It's consent overall, and the word consent has turned into a buzzword, and we're discussing it on a whole nother plane. So yeah, I'm processing this because to me it sounds like what you're saying is when you first meet somebody, there are certain things you can do and there are certain things that you can't do. And
Right.
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? It starts in the beginning.
Yeah, like you can't just start joking with me about my ball spot and I just met you.
right.
You got to earn
Right.
that. You know what I mean? Like
And
day
that's
one,
what I'm
hey,
saying.
what's up, Unc? Bro, your ball spot, bro. Nah, we gonna have issues. You know what I mean? Or we may not. I'm just giving an example. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It takes time for you to build that relationship. You don't have consent from me to talk to me like that because you don't know me.
So how do I get consent to joke about your ball spot? Do I just ask you?
OMG.
Yeah, you got to ask me like, look, bro, hey, I want to make a joke. I want to talk about your ball spot. Is that okay? No. After a while, once the friendship or the relationship develops, you will understand, hey, based off the way we talk, based off the way we communicate, that hey, if I'm a joker, if I know Coach a joker, I know I'm gonna know that about him, and I'm gonna know that he's gonna come with some jokes, and that's because of our dialogue and how we've communicated with each other. So it comes to a certain point to where he can feel comfortable talking to me like that without me get offended. So yes, Chris, yes.
And that's why I'm processing. That's why I'm processing.
Mhm.
Because like I said, we're not using the word consent in the mainstream buzzword kind of way. We're using it as an overall experience for everybody.
But overall,
So,
any type of relationship.
So this is
I think it's even you have to do it in your relationship with your, even though Antoine may not agree, with your lady as well. I think that there comes everybody wants to how can I say this? I'm trying to be, you know what I mean? You know what? I'm just gonna bow out of that one because I can't figure out the words to get to it. So if we circle back around and it comes up, then I'll attack it then. But right now, I don't have the words to try to say what I was trying to do. So
But
anybody
see-
else want to jump on this before we move? Go ahead, Chris.
no, but what I'm saying is like the way that we're using it is new to me. And the way that we're using it now is something that I need to learn. So this is probably going to be the part of the show where I pull my notebook out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
So-
just transparency. I think like there's a degree of transparency that has to be communicated for consent to even have a chance to take root. So this is really a conversation about transparency, because what are you consenting to? You know, so that part has to be clear. I think that if it's coming from a healthy place, then you can have that conversation, you know, about what consent actually is. Because if it's not coming from a healthy place, it's not necessarily consent. You know what I'm saying? There's a level of deceit and manipulation involved in it. So that changes what, you know, what the tone of it is.
Yeah, because in the beginning of a relationship, you're really feeling things out anyways, right? Because you don't really know the person. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to be on your best behavior and not be rude. So you're going to have those discussions, you know? I mean, that's the way it should be. You're going to find out the do's and don'ts, and she's going to come over and you're going to go over to her house, see how nasty she is. She's going to come over to your house, see how nasty you are. I mean, you're discovering these things, right? So you're going to be nice about things. And then you're slowly going to interject certain things that you're not, you know, happy about, or things that you don't do and do, you know, because you're going to find out about her family, your family, back and forth. So I don't think it's pretty, you know, self-explanatory in the beginning. That's how you would conduct yourself, right? I mean, that's the stage of communication.
I think in general, like if we're going to talk about, let's try to have a conversation without talking about romantic relationships at all.
Oh. So I got a curveball then. So with consent, I can give consent, right? But I also can take it away. So as a friendship, we get closer, we can kid. I have a bad day, I revoke, you know, consent for you to make fun of a bald spot. How does that affect that relationship with that friend? Do you go into blows and, you know, talk for a couple of weeks, or do you just blow it off as he had a bad day? And I've seen it go, you know, one way or another. You know, I've had it where I was joking with somebody, we made a joke, and it almost went to a fist fight at one point, just because I didn't know he revoked that ability for me to make that joke, and I crossed that line.
But did he? Okay, when you say cross the line, are you at that level of friendship with him that you said it, or did you just pick it up from somebody else and then pass the joke on? No, you know,
we were pretty close. We were roommates at the time.
Okay, so your
I just
roommate
didn't recognize the mood change, and I probably should have. So I think with that, we need to, you know, recognize the situation, but we got to be careful as you give consent, you can take it away too, and respect those codes.
I agree, but I think if you take away consent, then you need to express that. Like if I give coach consent to talk about my ball spot, and if I ain't feeling it one way, and I'm like, look, bro, I ain't with the jokes today, bro. Like I've had people tell me that because I was a jokester. They say, look, hey, look, Salman, I ain't with it today, and I backed off. During that moment, during that time, like you said, they revoked their consent, and I can respect that. But I think that if you're going to revoke consent, I think that you need to express that to someone. I mean, I think it's okay. Maybe you can read the room, but what if someone can't read the room? What if I think that, you know, when you make an adjustment in the relationship, you need to let that person know. That's what I think.
But isn't it? I mean, listen, I would never first of all, I'll never make fun of certain people's lack of what they have and all that. I don't go
but you're not a joker though.
No, but even if
we just using this as an example.
Trust me, I make my jokes, but I don't take things personally because, you know, there's nothing you're gonna do that's to stop me from doing what I need to do. But I mean, there's certain lines you would put in, certain etiquette lines you wouldn't cross, like bald spots. If a guy has a cleft lip, limp in his leg, I mean, there's certain lines you really don't cross, right? Because even if you know your friend well enough, you would know him well enough not to talk about that because you know how sensitive he is about it, right? So you would never jab him at that point. Like you wouldn't there's a certain line you don't cross no matter what. You don't make fun of your friend's girl, right? Because first of all, you don't know her like that. Second of all, you'd be disrespecting him in any way, shape, or form because you don't do that. So you should have some kind of etiquette skill to say, hey, I'm not gonna, you know. You don't think?
I do. But I think what they're saying is if you've been doing something for so long and the other person is okay with it, and then all of a sudden it changes and you don't know about it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you react to that?
Because it's up to his. Well, I would just look at him and go, bro, you never told me. I'm sorry, I'm not a mind reader. Maybe you think I'm a woman, but I'm not a mind reader. I'm
And
just
that's
saying.
why I say it needs to be communicated when that
Yeah, somebody got to say
adjustment
something.
or change in a
Yeah,
relationship
exactly.
happens. Like,
Yeah,
let me know, bro. Like, I'll back off. Just let me know. Like, we should be able to communicate. We should be able to have that conversation, even if it's nothing more than, bro, I ain't feeling it today. Like,
right.
I'm fine with that.
So with my nighttime job on the weekends, being a stand-up comedian, I ride that line of consent with my family members, my spouse, mom, dad, because they're all in my jokes. And sometimes if I cross that line financially, I might make some few dollars, but I'm going to hurt that relationship. And in that kind of realm of being a comedian, it's crossed quite a bit, and it hurts a lot. So you gotta ride that line a little bit.
Mm.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just wanted to ask the question because you said you were a comedian, correct?
I am. I think I am.
He said, I think I am.
I heard
No,
that. I
but
was like, I hear that.
What
what
up, Roland?
from what I hear from a lot of the comedians that I know around the city, it's like you don't know something is funny until you actually do it. So how do you know when you're pushing the limit? Like how do you know?
So
Hey,
here's the
Chris,
fun. A lot of it's in the heat of the moment too. When I write all the time, and I have my basis of my writing. But sometimes you feel the audience, and you step the line, you exaggerate a little bit, or you go over a story you probably shouldn't tell, and then your family hears it. Social media is a tool, and before you get off the stage, it's already on Facebook and Twitter and
Mm.
all that fun stuff. You're not able to explain to your family, "Hey, I want to tell that story," but it's already out there for everybody to know.
So here's what I'm thinking is, and this is not to say anything negative, but why not just adjust your which call it style, like your comedy style, as to not offend the loved ones. But I know Antoine might be like, well, you trying to make money at this, so the family at risk. Oh no, Antoine. But
Damn.
I'm
So
just asking.
I can be
so
honest with you on that one is cancel
Yeah.
culture, right? Cancel culture has made me write so much about my life and my family to be safe and not be canceled by society that they are open to the book. And that's what I focus on, and that's my focus
Okay.
because I'm so scared of say the wrong thing, political or religion or race that I no longer have a lifestyle that I enjoy. So that's why I picked that avenue.
but I mean, like, listen, I wouldn't cross if I was a comedian. I wouldn't cross the line of bringing my family into my jokes. I mean, there's certain things funny that my uncle has done when he's drunk that I'd probably let slip because that was funny and it was in a public setting. But there's certain things in a private setting, like in the bottom of our basement, where him and my father were drinking, and my mother was there, and I came down and saw it, and I was like, "Oh my God, you guys are unbelievable!" You like, I wouldn't say that, like, right? So there's certain. I mean, there's lines I mean, I think you should know that. But like Chris was saying, I think if your friend changes his mind about something, or Garfield, I think it was Garfield that said it, and he said, "Listen, I'm not about that today." He's not saying that you can't say it. It's just that he's in one of those things that he doesn't want to have that conversation or joke around. So that's respectful. But if you don't say it to me and then you fly off the handle and blah blah, then okay, now we're gonna have issues. Now you get me because I didn't know. I really didn't know. You know.
Hey, welcome to the show, Mr. Roland. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I was just backstage enjoying the conversation, and comedy, that's like my second love next to music. And when it comes to what you guys are talking about, I always gauge it by the relationship of the person, knowing what they can take. Because some people say, "Oh, I don't care," but yet deep down they hurting inside. And it's like Kevin Hart's "Laugh at My Pain." He was talking about himself and his family and certain things, but I think comedy is meant to make people laugh. Sometimes you're gonna be the butt of the joke. As long as it's not hurtful, it's like I don't all that cancel bull.
You you can't even enjoy comedy without being objective. That's just the main thing. If you don't have an objective view of the world, you're gonna have a tough time enjoying comedy. look at the world subjectively. You're gonna pick and choose when you want to be offended at any given time.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you gotta just and you know when you're going to see a comedy show, don't sit in the first 2 rows. You know right off the bat he's looking at you and something's coming, right? And it's true. It always happens. It's always look down at the stage. So just don't go there with I just think that, man, people are so pussified today. It's like, goddamn, they're so sensitive. Like they take things personally. It's like, you're robbing them of something. It's like, goddamn, man up, man, grow a pair. It's like, it's just a joke. Like, relax. It's not gonna change your life. That's why I don't put nothing out there with that social media and have people take pictures and I ain't doing all that crap.
Antoine,
right?
it's 50 cents.
And your friends would know your boundaries. I think I pretty much know what I could cross and what I can't cross based on that.
Antoine, it's 50 cents for the swear jar.
With the younger generations, remember, it's like I know.
Did I swear?
Grew up in the hood. I grew up in the hood. My kids grew up in the pretty much suburbs, so they can't relate or take the same type of criticisms and everything that I grew up under, because we grew up with roaches, and if they see a roach, they like, whoa, but we could talk about roaches, we could talk about rats, because we experienced it and we laughed through our pain. We laughed instead of crying. We laughed so we made fun of those things where they would be terrified.
Yeah, I get that. Hey, give a shout out to the chat and everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all for showing up tonight. Appreciate y'all being engaged over there and all of those are good things. If you're watching, feel free to hit that like button, that share button, and all of those are good things. I really appreciate that. We're going to move on a little bit. In every relationship, we're talking about consent and we're talking about respecting boundaries. I think sometimes it's hard for people to communicate what those boundaries are in a relationship. So I'd like to just kind of go around the horn a little bit and kind of, if anybody have any examples of some ways to establish boundaries with partners in relationships, because like Antoine just said, some people are more sensitive than others. And sometimes when you're trying to establish boundaries, at times people's feelings may get hurt, or maybe they won't. People may feel uncomfortable trying to set boundaries in relationships too. I know back in the day, my first relationship, just being honest, and even early in high school and stuff, like I was scared to set boundaries in the relationship. I was scared to say, hey, look, you know what? I ain't taking this. You're not going to do this. Even not necessarily just with women, but with friends and relationships and with homeboys and different things like that. Like I would accept certain things in relationships, and I didn't set clear expectation and clear boundaries. So what are some examples of some ways to establish boundaries with partners in relationships?
But first of all, why can't you tell a person what you want to tell them? You're grown people. Like, why should you have a problem telling the truth? Listen, you got to be honest with people. Why are people life isn't complicated, it's just humans that make it so, right?
Yeah, the thing about it is this.
But I hang around.
Here's the thing, Antoine. It's not necessarily about why. It's like, it's already like this. Like I was already like that. And there are a lot of guys out there that don't know how to establish boundaries. I don't know why. Maybe I was a weak guy. Maybe I was a super beta male. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I didn't learn early on how to establish boundaries in relationships. I do now, but I didn't know. I didn't see it modeled. I didn't hear it on any podcast. I didn't know how to set boundaries, and I didn't know what boundaries should look like in a relationship, especially when you grow up and they tell you you stay married no matter what. You know what I mean? You go out and have a baby, you get married, all these different things like that we were taught early on, that got ingrained in us early on, that came out of us when we became adults. So that was the only lifestyle, that was the only information I had at that age. So I didn't know how to set boundaries in my relationship.
Okay, but I'm saying now that like you grew up, you got older, right? I hang around like-minded people. Everybody and all my friends that know if you're sensitive, I'm not the guy to have around because I really don't give a shit, right? But that's me. But my friends know Antoine's like this. If you know you can't be like that, don't come out with us tonight because that's how.
What would you tell somebody that was a young version of you without a network, what they need to do to go establish authentic communication with somebody that can actually teach them to set boundaries. How would you help somebody set boundaries, Antoine?
I'm
I would
glad
tell
you
them
asked
this.
that, Vic. I'm glad you
I would
asked
tell
that
them this.
because a lot of
First
us
of all,
didn't know that it was okay.
I would tell them this. First of all, don't get out of your character. Be who you are. Don't get out of your character. You are who you are, right? People don't change, all right? They are who they are. Now they just have to know how to navigate. And I would tell them, first of all, don't change your character. Be who you are. Be respectful to other people's needs, wants, and how they feel, right? Now, if you know something that you don't like, there's never a right time to tell somebody. The right time is when it came to your head and you felt it and you felt the hurt about it. Tell them. That way they don't go on doing it till it builds up inside of you and you do all this explosion bullshit. Then I'm just going to look at you and say, well, you should have told me from the beginning. Now you're looking like an idiot, right? So I would say establish that. You know your boundaries and what certain things that you don't like. If I'm an artist, so I know I'm sensitive to certain things. I'm very expressive. I use my hands a lot and I talk. That's me. When somebody says, bro, you're losing your hands too much, quiet it down. I'm like, bro, don't tell me what to do. Now you know I'm like this, right? So you let them know certain things. And I would tell everybody, even a guy coming up, be who you are, be authentic with people. If you can't make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news. You want to lessen the blow? Don't swear, be sensitive to how they're taking it, but get your message across clearly. That way they can't make that mistake. And if they're sensitive, that's not the person for you because that's not who you are, right? You can be sensitive and saying, you know what? I understand. I'm just a little bit too loud for you. We have this communication thing. I'm going to step back. It's not that hard.
See, but Antoine, I used to be a people pleaser. And as a people pleaser, I would always say, okay, well, I step back and then I would allow certain things to take place. Whereas now I wouldn't. But before, since I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go along to get along, I'm trying to be a people pleaser and doing all these things. And so how would you relay that to that person? Because it's not necessarily in their character to step up and be like that right at that point. They aren't where you are. So how would you help them? Don't just say, well, just tell them to damn do it, because they ain't going to do it.
When you say, I've heard that when people say they're a people pleaser, you mean what? You go out of your way to, like, if somebody needs a ride, you go out of the way to help them? Like, give me something.
It's like if I wanted something and say she wanted something, she got it. It was always I would succumb to whomever's will it was because I was trying to please them and get along, didn't want to rock the boat, things like that.
Okay, so I have a thing about that too, correct? I tell you analogy of when you're
breaking up
first.
He got hacked.
For you.
They didn't hack
me. What? Should I get off?
I say, if you're speaking, we heard like every fifth word.
Syllable.
Should I say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't hear nothing.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. You know when they say you're in an airplane, put on your mask first before you help somebody else. I believe in that, right? So, meaning, if I'm going to help you, but I know it takes away from something that's going to impair me, I can't do it. Make that solid decision. You cannot do it. Now, if you say somebody wants something and you want it too, I always say, do I really need it as bad as that person needs it? Make that judgment call right then and there. But I would tell them, don't go out of your way to help somebody if you know it's going to impair you from doing something else, or you cannot. Don't lend money if you know you don't have it to lend. Don't put yourself in that position. That's the way I was raised, right? My father told me straight, if you can't do your homework, don't help somebody else's with theirs. Do yours first, right? And always gravitate towards the person that knows something that you don't know. If your math is your weak subject, that's who you should be talking to, even if you don't like him. You have to play politics and you have to pretend in that area, right? Because you have to it's all about getting ahead and what works for you. So I've never been a people person, a pleaser, as you say, but I would help somebody if I know I could. But if I knew it set me back, I ain't helping you. Sorry. Yeah, you go to that guy. Yeah, that's how I would tell that person. Because you have to always be authentic with people, right? Always. Like my mother says, if you want to know if that dress looks pretty on you, go ask Antoine. Don't ask Eugene. Go ask my last son. He's going to tell you straight up. You're gonna know if you're gonna want to walk out of that house or not. Straight up.
That's your strong
Because
suit.
she knew I would.
What would you
Yeah.
tell someone that's not their strong suit, and you can't just tell them just do it because this ain't Nike?
Wait, Antoine, before you go, I think I'm
Okay.
going to address this because I used to be the guy you're talking about. We have to start telling them that they cannot be afraid of the loss that they're going to take by setting boundaries.
That's exactly.
We were never taught that. We were taught that we had to put up with this stuff just to have people around. But the fact of the matter is, if you set a boundary and that person is constantly crossing it, even though you told them about it, that person really don't like you too much. So why even have them around in the first place? We have to rewire that because, like I said, a lot of us weren't taught this. We were not taught to not be afraid to take the loss. People are going to come in and out of your life all the time, but the ones that really respect you and your boundaries are going to be the ones that stick around, and they're going to be the ones you want around anyway.
Yeah.
We were never taught that. This is all new information to us. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's where we should start. We should start there.
That's more palatable than just do it. Just don't da. See, and that's what I was trying to get at, because now I'm like, because if I don't have it, I have no problem telling people no or whatever. I can still help when I want to help. I babysit when I want to babysit. I do what I want to do. I'm good on that. But I was trying to see how you would relay it to someone else so that they could understand how to get where you are.
I would raise my sons like my father raised me. Be authentic. Don't make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news. Tell them like it is, so they get the message clearly, and they can't come back and say, "Well, I thought you meant." No. You knew what I meant. You just didn't want to hear it, right? Because I want to be totally clear, and I think that today, especially, you got to make things idiot-proof today, right? You got to make things idiot-proof today, because people, for some reason, use that to come back and get you. And I just believe in being authentic and who you are. You can't change your character.
We got you,
Right?
Antoine, but we was just, and the main point of the question is we're looking for some examples on how to establish boundaries. You know, it's easy to say, yeah, they should just do it, but we're looking for some examples on how to do it. That's what we're trying to pass off right now.
I think a way to establish boundaries without using a whole lot of communications is routine. If you have a clear cut out routine, nobody bothers you between these hours. Like, everybody's got a task or a project that they work on to give a little bit of time to in the day. If you decide that from these hours you're dedicated to this task, that's a clear communication that this boundary isn't to be violated. And if it does get violated, you have to check it right then and there. That's absolutely something that you will speak up for once a certain boundary or threshold is crossed, because the other person doesn't know what the boundary is until you tell them. So if it's important enough to you, you'll defend it.
And I agree with Vic on that, because I'm saying this: I don't care if I lose you as a friend, right? Because you should know me by now. And if I lose you as a friend, that's on you. I will lend you $50, but if you don't pay me back that $50, it cost me $50 to get rid of you for life, and I'm good with that, because you will never come around again, because that's your character. That's how you are. It cost me $50 to know that, right? I'm gonna let you know. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm a grown man, right? And if you could play those little tricks, and I would tell everybody, be authentic. Tell them if it hurts. Hey, you know what? I was offended when you said that. Let's refrain from saying that to me again, right? Why is that?
Anybody else have any more examples?
So I do. You know, when you're setting your boundaries, communication is always key. No one wants to be rejected or criticized. So I found this kind of thing when I was doing some research and stuff, and I really have been using this with my family, my kids, and my wife. And it's examples of the I statements done right and wrong. So the right way to do the I statement would be, you know, I felt really bad when this happened. I felt really good when this happened. I feel like this. I feel like that. When it's done incorrectly, it's always the you game, right? So I know that you do this. I know you made me feel sad about that. you always yell at me or you always make me do this. When you're setting those boundaries using that you game, they're going to shut. My wife does it all the time. She'll shut down. You're always picking on me, and then when I'm trying to criticize or bring her back in our relationship boundaries or even my kids, I always try to where I've tried to change it a little bit, not just always putting the blame on her.
Mm.
You got coach.
Yeah, I heard a lot. So, one of my favorite movies is Any Given Sunday. And during that movie, Al Pacino does a great cameo where he talks about how the game of football is played. And he says it's one inch by inch. You look for a big play, but at the end of the day, it's all about progression. And so when we come down to what are some examples to establish boundary, you got to do what you know at this particular point in time. One thing about me is that I come from a family of very outspoken people, so I did not ever have a problem with expressing how I felt or what I was thinking. However, what I realized in my younger days, how I felt and what I was thinking probably wasn't the right thing to express. And I probably wasn't expressing it in the right way. But what I will also share is that those people during that particular point in time had zero confusion of what I knew my boundaries to be. I think I think Brother Huber he gave a perfect depiction of how to communicate your boundaries. I think what we have to do is go on the path of progressive awareness of what healthy boundaries look like. Do what you know to do right now. Like understand what your boundaries are as it is right now. As you grow, come back to the table and re-articulate your boundaries. So what you do is you go on a path of progressive awareness and constant sharing. Whatever my boundaries were 10 years ago, they look different now. And so I think that's the key. So as we grow, continue to articulate our boundaries with our friends, our loved ones, so forth and so on, and then continue to redefine them as time progresses.
You done, Antoine? You got something else? No? Oh, you eating your nuts now?
You talking about
Hey,
literal?
Pause.
I knew it. Somebody's going to jump on it.
it wasn't me. It was the comedian. He can get by with it.
You guys are so immature.
Hey,
But
hey,
I think from what I'm gathering is it's okay to set boundaries as long as you're not a dick about it. Is that the gist of it?
Antoine, your thoughts?
Be who you want. Say it how you want to say it. If the person doesn't like the delivery, they're not the person for you. Goddamn, bro.
Antoine, man, you can't just talk to people any kind of way,
Why
especially
not?
if it's somebody that you care about.
This is my world. This is my world. You
That's
in it.
crazy.
No.
but check this out. I get what Antoine is saying. If Antoine is gonna be like, look, this is who I am. His girl, any woman, the lovely, beautiful Mrs. Christopher, who's out there in Utopia, waiting to be molded. That was for Vic.
Waiting to be molded.
Because Vic said she was gonna come in an Amazon box or something like that a couple of shows ago. So that's the only reason I went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling
just-
you. Hey, look. I told you we're supposed to be having this conversation without women being involved. You see what I'm saying? But since you're talking about women that's for Antoine, Amazon's off on limits. All his women coming with Wi-Fi. Understand this. You know what I'm saying? Like he gonna have to put in a pin number to access the feelings on whatever woman you're talking to.
Wait, you added Wi-Fi. That's the 2023 version.
Yeah. Like,
But it's like if Antoine say, hey, look, if he want to talk to women like that or whoever like that, if they choose to accept that tone and that way that he speaks, they obviously are okay with it. So I wouldn't expect Antoine. I understand being who you want to be. However, those types of people are in my opinion are very few and far between, because it's a reason why, Antoine, you don't get up here and you don't talk to us like crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a reason.
I am very.
You are who you are, but you're not.
I am I'm very respectful when I talk. I speak eloquently.
Exactly.
I
That's all
describe
we're
everything.
saying at the end of the
And
day.
but I communicate. I just make sure when I say it's red, you don't come back and say, "Are you sure?" I'm just gonna look at you like, you see, I don't do that. Red is red. So I speak very nicely and I explain the situation. Your job is just to remember it. I ain't asking for much. I'm really not. I talk, I do my thing. I respect what you want to do. I say it nicely, but I'm not gonna play into your idiocy. I'm not gonna. I mean, honey, there's only so many times you can be stupid in front of me. Let's go. Like, really? Like, I'm just saying. Just like I'm
That's
gonna do
that's
my
what I meant
best.
about. That's what I meant
Like,
about not being a dick about it. Like you even said it. You said you were going to be respectful and you were going to make
Exactly.
sure that
Yeah.
you were going to be respectful, but you were going to also get your point across at the same time. That's what I meant when I
right,
said don't be a dick.
very
I
respectful.
didn't mean sugarcoat it so that way they feel better. I mean don't say it like it's an attack. Say it like, okay, this is how I feel, and I need you to understand how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's what I meant by saying don't be a dick. I wasn't
No,
I
I'm
wasn't I wasn't trying to
good.
be soft about it because to keep it
No.
real, we need more strong men who can grab a set and actually say what's on their mind when it's on their mind. But you
But
don't
the
have
dick
to.
will come out after 3 times, though. I'm just,
It's
that's
just
it.
the delivery.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Like
It's
after a while,
it's
The delivery.
that's why I
yeah.
said what I said.
After you poke it 3 times, I'm like, okay, now you're gonna see the other side because, like, I'm not. Yeah, you're not obviously
Yeah,
not.
coach.
So
Antoine's not a dick. He's just dickish at times.
I have a question for Antoine.
He's a
Go
big
ahead.
rich. He's a
Go
big
ahead.
rich.
New podcast coming. Dickish. Boy.
Hey, move on to somebody else, man. You
I
guys
got,
are picking on
I
me
got a
now.
question for Antoine though, because I've watched quite a bit of your guys' episodes prior to, and I kind of know each of personality a little bit. So we, with boundaries, and relationships, and stuff, we kind of put people around us to mold us to make us better. But it seems like if you with that, you have to be able to take criticism and hear from others. Like you're going way too left or way to the right. But it seems like you tend to shut it down. So what keeps you on a level? What keeps you going down that middle path without going left or right if you don't really want to hear it from somebody?
First of all, first of all, Jonathan, it's nice to meet you. I don't think I even introduced myself, but nice to meet you. First of
Got him again.
You're getting hacked again.
Yep.
They're all in your DMs tonight, Antoine.
okay, am I good now?
No.
Am I good now?
Now you.
Okay. Am I good now? Should I go and come back in?
Yeah, do that. While Antoine
Fell for the
reshuffles
okey-doke.
his computer or whatever, what we'll do, we'll come back to your question when he comes back in. But since we're talking so much about communication, what is the role of communication? Actually, let's pause. Let's go back to Antoine. Take it away, Antoine.
First of all, like I was saying, first of all, I'm an artist, right? So I take criticism all day long. What was the second part of your question? There was something else. You said something about criticism.
So
Why brush it off?
it seems like when people give you what you don't want to hear, you kind of shut them down, tell them what you're thinking, and you don't let people go take you left or right, keep you in the middle line. It's your way or no way, and I might be speaking out of line a little bit, but I just my impression a little bit.
Okay, are they in my family or out? Are you talking
inner
within?
circle? Yes.
Okay, let's say within my family, I care. Outside of that, really don't give a shit because you're not changing my life, right? So in my family, let me hear what you have to say. Outside, if it doesn't make sense to me, and you can't articulate it to me, and you can't get on my program as in how I am as a human being, I have no problem bidding you good night. That I really don't. Like, you're not going to change my life. You're not going to make me, oh man, I lost that friend. No, I'm going to probably be clapping because I'm going to say that guy's just not for me. Right? Because I operate like that. That's why I said I'm at peace. I don't have to pretend who I am. My friends that know me know me. If my phone is not being picked up, they know they will never call and say, bro, I was trying to reach you. I don't get it, man. You're never there. They know not to do any of that because they know that I will never call them again. Right? They know that. They know that when I say, listen, I'm drawing, I can only text. They would never text me like crazy. They go, oh fuck, he's good for another 4 hours without reaching him, unless it's a 911. So my circle really knows me, right?
So
The
your
girls,
circle,
the girls that I hang out with, the girls that I associate with, like they're my friends, as in they're girls, but they're my friends. They get me 100%, 100%, right? And that's the way I like it.
would you
Now-
consider yourself selfish?
You guys?
Okay. Go move the rabbit ears.
He got that gaddy internet.
Yeah.
Hey, it just wasn't meant for him tonight. You know, like.
See, my thing is Antoine doesn't see how selfish and impersonal. He coming back, and I ain't got I ain't got a problem saying.
I know you don't, but hey, he gonna take it to where it need to go. Trust me. Stand by. Hey, that lets you know how spicy his message is. It won't even let him say it.
It's about to go down.
Hey, about to go left in 5, 4,
boy.
3, 2. Hey,
I'm supposed to be learning here.
Hey, this is where you learn.
Now,
every time you turn around, there's an opportunity to observe what you could be and what you should and what you might have been. So, with that being said, we're gonna let Antoine take us on this funky voyage. You
Just
know,
remember, never take advice from your drunken uncle. That's all I'm saying.
hey,
Or your drunken auntie.
Hey, look, we got to make this all about him because we're here to learn from Antoine too.
there you go.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
Come on with this gospel. You
Come on, bro.
We're
We're waiting on you. We're ready for it.
5.
Let me mute my mic.
3.
Why are you guys picking on me tonight, man? Goddamn, there's 5 other
Because
guys.
you want to talk tonight. You on one tonight, so let's hear it.
I just
you about to be all over TikTok.
Hey, bro, you got the chat lit. They waiting right now.
Yeah,
you know
they
what I'm
waiting on
saying?
you.
Hey, this is your moment.
I just don't.
Man.
And the one time he has his golden moment, the gods of the internet say, "Stop talking."
Yeah.
Hey,
Antoine, like I'm a Cowboys fan. Antoine, like the Dallas Cowboy. According to Stephen A, they're gonna always find a way to mess it up.
look, we have
Can I
never
ask
been
a real question?
in such anticipation of an Antoine moment, and he can't deliver.
Right.
He almost like the post office losing his deals to FedEx.
Hey, it's like Dave Chappelle. Die line. He's the top fire.
Yeah, man, look, how you gonna choke when you in the cipher, fam? This is the time for you to put it in. No homo.
Hey, Chris, you had a question, bro.
Tasha getting her popcorn ready.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Like, they ready. They waiting on
More like
Antoine tonight.
more like
Everybody that don't like Antoine is waiting right now.
And I don't think Antoine's not one to dislike. I think he is who he is, and he's honest about it.
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
Brutally honest.
Yeah,
brutally honest.
Right. Hey, you know what? We got to change the word from brutally to tactless, because like we do need some tactless people. Because like it don't hurt when Antoine do it, so it's not brutal. It's just tactless. So, because like the only way somebody can truly hurt you is if they actually knew you. You know.
I keep saying the law of polarity is real. The only way that you know that good is available, you have to experience bad.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, you can't have winners without losers.
I think Antoine over there
with like the way he approaches things, I think is good and bad. I've been through a lot of relationship stuff where, you know, sometimes you gotta fluff it a little bit. Sometimes you gotta be blunt.
I ain't gonna even waste the intro. Hey, 5.
Come on with the hot fire, man.
3,
Come on with it.
2, 1. Go ahead and clip that right there.
Man, listen, first of all, I apologize. I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying, like this whole it's just, I'm just not used to this kind of conversation, bro. It's just so weird to me. Like, this is like, you need certain ways on how to say it. It's weird if you say it direct. This person has to be, you got to choose your word. I ain't doing none of that shit.
Do you talk to your mother the same way you talk to everybody?
My mother knows exactly how I come.
Do you talk to your mother the same way you talk to everybody else?
Of course not, bro. It's my mom.
Right. See, you have a respect for her that you have a disrespect for everybody else.
What's disrespectful to everybody
Because
else?
it's just like a couple of times on the show, you'll say, if somebody came in there and then the red light was on, you'll be like, bitch, this, that, and other. It's like, whoa, that's not a way to talk to somebody.
Well, first of all, I was
You
just,
said-
at that time, I wouldn't call her a bitch, but she would know. But first of all, wait a minute. First of all, hey, hold on a second. You guys are acting like this woman wouldn't know and had better sense than to bother me when the light's on.
Doesn't matter.
She's not going to be stupid. She's going to be very well knowledgeable. I mean, the signs are right there. Lights on, don't touch, in my zone, leave me alone, drop coffee at the door. Like, these are like, why would she bother me?
That sounds like a mail order bride from
Why would my girl bother me? If she's doing something and she has her career and she says, baby, I'm studying right now, she ain't gonna see me for 2 hours. She's gonna see me when she's ready to talk to me, when she wants something. I'm not gonna walk up behind her and do the whole huggy kissy like movies. I'm not doing any of that crap. I'm giving her space. She said it to me. She goes, I'm studying right now. What didn't I understand in that sentence? Like, what didn't you guys understand when she says, leave me alone? I'm good. When a girl says, leave me alone, I got tons of things to do. It's even better for me. Just tell me when you want me to come back. Why are you guys making this so complicated? It's like you're acting like your girl doesn't know you or something. And that's what bothers me with this conversation, because you guys are acting like your wife or your girlfriend or your friends don't know you. Like I said, I hang around like-minded people.
Right. But I think what it is we don't marry or get in relationships with people that are exactly like us. So they don't respond like us. They don't take everything like us. No two people are the same. So,
but they don't listen to you.
You can expect people to be different or to make mistakes that, I forgot. You don't like me to do this or whatever. And you can't bite somebody's head off when it happens.
No, that's okay. That stuff is okay. I'm not talking about that. I guess I'm talking about the extreme of, like you guys said, how do you communicate with somebody and let them know your boundaries? Like I said, I'm going to tell you in the clearest way, and I'm going to give you a chance to ask the question if you don't understand. And if you tell Antoine something, Roland says, listen, Antoine, I'm telling you, bro, I'm underneath my car. I'm fixing my car. Don't talk to me. I'll call you later. Bro, you never hear from me again until you call me later. I'm good with that. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call you until you call me back. And when you ask, why haven't you given me a buzz? I'm like, bro, didn't you just literally tell me, like, you'll call me later?
Hey, Antoine, can you give us a story about the last advice you gave somebody?
I just gave advice today. With my friend's wife, right? This is a perfect. Let's go there. So, my house is the bachelor house because guys come here to get away from their wives to. I said to. In the game, right?
It's breaking up every syllable.
Breaking up again.
Let
me know. Go ahead. Try it again.
Okay, so we had the game. So this is how we watched the game. I said, guys, if you guys are gonna come here and watch the game, I really want to watch the game, right? And if you're gonna watch, excuse yourself to the bathroom. I don't mind if you go over there. During the game, I don't want to hear, honey, can I call you back after this quarter? Oh, honey, yeah, I got it. I don't want to hear none of that shit, right? So again, clear rules. We all understood it. If you're coming here, that's how it is. So everybody was like cool with that. Friend comes over. Next thing you know, we're watching the game. I'm like, ooh, Kansas City. I really need them to win, right? So my friend goes, I go, okay, let's watch this. Let's see if this happens. So we're all there watching it. And my friend's wife calls at the minute we're going to watch the play. And I said to him, I said, bro, if you get up from this chair to answer that phone, you're getting up at the same time you're grabbing your jacket and you're leaving my house. Because I made it clear to you, if you're going to do that, it doesn't happen now. And he was like, how do I tell her that? I'm like, what is there to tell? Don't pick up the phone. He goes, I can't do that. That's my wife. I go, listen, man, first thing for Christmas, you're going to ask her for your balls back, right? That's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to ask her for your balls back because it's just a game and it only has 4 hours of game time. You can hang in there. She goes, I can't do that, man. So you're telling me if I have to answer it, I go, you're disturbing the play. You're disturbing the play. Shut up. You're disturbing the play. But if you get up and answer that phone, you know the rules. Everybody else agreed with me. It's like, bro, he made it clear to you in the beginning, man. So you're going to have to pick. I mean, I had to tell him. So he goes, okay. So he waited to the commercial. He got up, made a call to his wife, and everything was cool. He goes, I got to start really putting my foot down and expressing myself and telling her certain things.
Sound like you bullied them.
I didn't bully him. Why is that bullying if you set the rules? Oh my God, Lord. Why is that bullying?
If Antoine make those the rules for his house, I'm either going to abide by them or I just won't go. Me, I don't have a problem.
Choice words though.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to, out of respect for Jonathan, I'm going to leave one of them off, but that's going to be in there. Like, please, it's going to be after that.
I got you.
I'm not, ain't no man or whomever. If my phone ring, you can't answer your phone. What?
That's like a bride complaining about somebody else outdressing her at her own.
But here's the deal, though. If you go to a certain Kevin Hart concert, they tell you no phones coming in. So if you know that you can't have no phone, you don't go.
That's different, bro. I'm
So
sorry.
at the same time, if I have something in my house and I set the rules in my house, you can't come in and want to change the rules just because you want to. You still have to abide by my rules. I personally wouldn't do that, but I understand that if those are the rules that are established in Antoine's house, then if I want to go to the game, then I have to respect his rules.
That's why I go.
I just would go, but I could be going away from my phone for 4 hours and I'd be fine.
Thank you.
That's why I will go on the patio to answer my phone. I'm sorry. I pay my phone bill. That's just
Thank you. So Roland, you wouldn't come, right? I would say, why'd you come?
No, see, you making it seem like they got to sit there and not answer their phone, like they just can't.
During that time, we all said no phones. Everybody, be quiet. This is it. We're going for it, right? We're all good, right?
Yeah, we're going for it.
I mean,
but so this wasn't the entire game. This was just like the last.
We said, let's just see what happens. Nobody do nothing. Phone ring. We ain't talking. We ain't doing
so
nothing.
it was an agreement.
I just said that.
Yeah, he said that in the beginning that the consensus of it was while the game is on, the game is on, and we want to watch the game.
Hey, we was just trying to go with Uncle Junior and stir the pot. That's all.
Thank you. There you go. That's an example.
Jonathan, you're muted.
Jonathan, you got to unmute.
You're muted.
Unbelievable.
Kind of defends Antoine a little bit. Go back to our topic was he set the boundaries. The other respect the boundaries. You understood of it. And everybody did. So,
yeah, yes, I get it. Like I said, I don't have no problem with going. I'd go in a minute. I'm like, yeah, let's roll. I'm like, yeah, I like going places where everybody ain't on their phone. That's just neither here nor there. But I like it. Sometimes me and my wife go out to eat, and sometimes there's no phone. You know what I mean? And we just sit there and we talk. So we get away from people, get away from social media. So I think it's a good thing, but I get it. If someone has rules established and you respect them, or you just don't go. But that's just my personal opinion.
But see, using that scenario, there's another boundary that could be set. Why are you calling me when you know I'm out doing this with the fellas?
That too.
You understand what I'm saying? Unless it's an emergency, or unless is the house burning down, did something happen to the children? Are you okay? Unless it's something like that, I'm with my fellas. So why won't you respect that boundary that I have with my fellas? We watching the game. What do you want? You understand what I'm saying? We could say the reverse. So maybe that's a boundary that he didn't set coming out the gate, saying, all right, sweetheart, I'm with the fellas. We watching the game. If you need me and it's important and I don't pick up, leave me something. But we already the fellas. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I would go with it.
Well, here we go right here. We already jumped to the next. You segue right into it. What is the role of communication in understanding and respecting boundaries in relationships?
So you don't always get kicked out of Antoine's house for answering the phone when your wife called.
Good answer.
Yeah. And just like you said, just like you said, that conversation between him and his wife should have been had before. Hey, look, I'm going to play. I'm going over here. Be over here for a couple hours. I'll check in with you or not check in, whatever is established before. But it may not even have to be established before if those rules and different conversations are had even in the beginning. Or like Coach said, sometimes even as the relationship evolves. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I think so. What you're just like, that's it. Like, I think when you look at this question, the answer to the question is actually in the question. What is the role of communication in understanding and respecting boundaries? Understanding and respecting boundaries. That's it. And the way you get to understand is by asking questions, right? So if somebody established a boundary, you need to understand the parameters of that boundaries. Case in point, Antoine's football game, right? So if we're not going to be talking during the football game, and that's an agreed upon rule that we have as gentlemen, right? Then when I articulate that boundary, it's just something that we discuss. Maybe I call you at halftime, whatever that looks like. But just like you said earlier, Uncle Junior, we should be able to go a couple hours without talking and nobody feel some type of way because whatever that might be a sign of something that they're going through or something that they never dealt with. So when it comes down to these boundaries, I think the idea is just understanding and respecting them, and that works both ways. When she's out with her girls, I'm not going to call you. I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to harass you. You out. When you get back, you get back. I mean, that just gives me the opportunity to walk around the house free and uninhibited. So, just kind of one of those things, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So go back to kind of a story time for me again. I married if you look at the word introvert, there's my wife's name. I'm a very extrovert person. I like to dance. One thing we were very key when we first got married, communicating was I like to dance. She doesn't. And we've established it where I can go out and dance with another female. I know my boundaries. I know I can't be grinding. I'm not gonna go home with them. I go dance. I fulfill that void in my life. I go home with my wife. We have a good relationship. And I also know as an introvert, sometimes I gotta, unplug, sit at home, and unwind like she likes to do. So there's a fine balance as long as you are open and you're communicating that to your relationship person you're having with.
So, Jonathan, are we talking twerking at the strip club, or are we talking going to? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, man. I'm just...
Clip it. Go ahead, Antoine. I saw you unmute. Or do I want Antoine to unmute?
I don't want. Listen, man. I'm talking way too much.
Hey, Antoine, look. Here's the deal. Go ahead, go ahead, Antoine. But keep it precise.
Guys, communicate. Let her know. You want to lead? Lead. Why is that so hard? I don't care about my friend's relationship with his wife. It's not my business. I care when it's in my house and how the rules go. How you conduct yourself outside of that, that's between you and her. I don't have to like her. I don't even need her. I don't even have to respect her. I have to respect her around you. But if I see her walking in the street and you ain't next to her, I don't have to say hi. I can go about my business. I'm allowed. Gee, why is that so? And she's allowed to ignore me. I don't even care if she doesn't like me. I don't even care if she tells me don't come into the house. Because my friendship is not with her, it's with him. She coexists because of him. I'll be nice to her and I'll be courteous, but I don't have to do all this extra bullshit because he's in a relationship with her. I will utmost respect her, but that's it. I'm not going beyond that. I'm not making any. I don't understand why you can't communicate that with her. If he can't stay off his phone for 4 hours, just one game, or go fishing without texting her, dude, you guys are like, this is weird to me. I can't wait. Boy, I can't wait. I'm curious to see how I would be in my next relationship because I am so grounded.
I believe we all are.
I am so solidified in my ways.
I can't wait to get the invitation to the wedding.
Jeez, man.
Me and Vic gonna show up in a private jet.
Oh boy, man.
Have the whole elevated dialogue squad gonna be there, Antoine.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
with our tux on with tails.
Tails.
This is just weird to me. This is just like, this is like,
Antoine, I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying. But like I said earlier, we weren't taught that we were allowed to have boundaries, whether it was with our friends or with the opposite sex. And we're just now getting this information. And a lot of men don't set boundaries or keep those boundaries because they're afraid of the loss they're going to take. And you've pretty much explained that you shouldn't be afraid of the loss you're going to take because they weren't supposed to be there in the first place. This is new information to us. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, this is all new. So this is why a lot of us are giving you that look, because it's stuff that we know, but it's stuff that was never really pushed, and it's stuff that we never adhered to as men. So you understand what I'm saying? It's just a little different.
Okay,
up,
Chris, my
Antoine.
father's from the islands. Right?
Antoine, hold up. Before you go, shout out to the chat again. I'm looking at the poll. The poll question was, how have you always known how to set boundaries in a relationship? There were 13 votes. 85% said no, 15% said yes. So to Chris's speaking point, a lot of people was not necessarily everybody didn't grow up with this understanding of automatically coming out of the womb or getting it early on. You know, I don't know if Vic or Coach did, but Vic, talked about he had unks. Coach talked about the unk squad and stuff like that he had. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe they were two who got it. Chris, as plenty of times talked about, growing up with a single mother. Roland has talked about his path and his experiences and how he grew up, and me as well. So me growing up, I didn't get that. No one taught me how to set boundaries in relationships. No one taught me that I was supposed to, or any of these things. So it's not new information to me now. However, when I first started my journey some years ago, that's when I started learning how to respect myself and how to set boundaries, not only in relationships with my woman or my lady, my wife now, but also with Vic and with Coach and with everybody else. Like I said before, you have to earn the right to talk about my ball spot. You meet me day one, that's not the time to talk about it. And I'm just using ball spot as an example, but it could be anything that you may not want to be talked about. So good point. But what we're going to do, we're going to segue. We're going to jump into this last question of the night, and what we're going to talk about is, let me get rid of this one. What are some of the consequences of not respecting boundaries in relationships?
You might get your jaw touched.
Yeah, you might get the furniture knocked out your mouth.
Hey, didn't we see Will Smith this time last year? Or was it was that like February or was it March of last year? I think it was March of last year.
I forget.
With what?
Yeah.
I don't know what month.
What was it?
When Will Smith slapped the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth for a joke that he found funny.
He was an idiot. He only
That was
did
back
that.
in January of last year.
He was laughing like everybody else. The man was an idiot. That's what you call severely sympty.
See, here's the thing though. Reading recognizing boundaries is really the long explanation of reading the room. Like knowing when and where to joke, what to say. And this is what I was saying earlier about some people not having any tact. It's mostly a lack of situational awareness. Is usually tied to a lack of tact. So when you see somebody displaying a lack of tact, they probably not paying attention. And we like to repeat phrases so loosely, but we don't recognize that those same phrases apply to us maintaining better situational awareness. And in this situation, this question is better answered by, do you know how to read a room? Have you always gone into a room and made yourself the center of attention? Have you taken a topic and made the topic about your anecdotal experience? Have you found a way to be objective enough to participate in the conversation without derailing it? And if you always find yourself in conflict or having to over-explain yourself after you've been asked for your opinion, are you on topic? Because generally speaking, when you stand on topic about something, you don't have to do a whole lot of these different things if you're paying attention to other people. But if you can't pay attention to other people, that's usually a sign that you don't have the ability to be as objective as you should be. And that's generally speaking where human beings find disagreement and debate instead of dialogue and understanding.
I think another consequence.
Oh yeah, clip that too.
Accountable masculinity, ladies and gentlemen. I think another consequence is the loss of the person and the loss of the trust that person that you have in that person. You understand what I'm saying? Like if they can't respect your boundary that you have set, then that could be taken as you don't respect me. And if you don't respect me, why are you here? You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us, like I said, this is all new information. A lot of us have been afraid to take a L. This is the part of the game where you decide whether or not you want to take that loss.
But what's wrong with taking a loss? The person hasn't done anything for you. What's the big deal? You're gonna lose what? His friendship?
Because we have been under the impression that we have to take this to have people around, and it just now became okay to say, I don't have to take this. You can get the hell on.
Yeah. Like people say, I never go where I'm not wanted. I have to read no room. I know where I'm wanted and when I'm not. I go in, I look around. Hey, this ain't for me. Time to leave.
That's called reading the room, Antoine.
Yeah,
Like,
but I never go. If I know I'm invited somewhere, first of all, I know when I'm wanted and where I'm wanted and where I'm not. So that's me reading it before I even go. That's what I would say. I don't need to read a room because I ain't gonna go where
You could also be in a place that's inviting, and the mood of the room changes or adjusts too. Like I don't know how many of y'all ever been to a cookout in the summertime, but it usually start off good, but then a little bit later, people get some liquor in them and stuff. The party change a little bit, and that's when I pack up, and then I'm like, I'm out because somebody going to do something, and then the police gonna get called. So I'm like, I'm out. You know what I mean? So I was just saying that, it's fine and dandy to read the room initially, but to Antoine, I was just rebuttaling a little bit and saying that, hey, look, sometimes you can read the room and the room seems fine, but then something can happen and it can adjust the atmosphere in the room.
I think we should, I don't know, any friend that I have, true friend, I think I value that person and I value the relationship. So if I do something to dishonor the relationship or whatever, it's my objective to get it right. So I got to apologize. I got to get it right. I can't sit up there and say, well, Bumpet, I don't need you no way because I offended you.
Well, you said
or if they offend me, I got to give them the space to correct it and come back and make it right. I can't just cut people off. Those aren't friends. Those are just people you know.
But you said keywords, friends. I'm talking about you're saying keywords, friends. My friends I would apologize for. But then again, with my friends, I have the utmost respect. Like I have the utmost respect for the friends I've made on this panel. So I know my boundaries, right? I wouldn't ever attack anybody's, whatever they're lacking. I wouldn't do any of that. I don't do it anyways. But I'm just saying, like, I establish boundaries. I don't break boundaries. Like I said, I'm not one to read anybody's mind. And I think that needs to be established in the beginning of a relationship. I am not moving into your house. You are moving into mine. I am not selling my house to benefit us. I'll sell my house if I want a bigger one. That is like when the cops come and one of us have to leave, just pack a small bag and go because I know that I'm not leaving. If we get into a big fight, I'm not leaving.
Because we have this discussion without romantic relationships.
Okay, even with my friends, the same way, right? If I go to my friend, I'm going to be on my best behavior. My best. I'm going to tell his wife what she needs to hear, right? Not what I want to tell her, but what she needs to hear. You know what I mean? I'm going to do the please and thank you and, all that good stuff.
What?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest consequences that also when we're not respecting boundaries to each other is loss of self-worth. And also, the last year or so, men's mental health has been a big topic, and awareness needs to be, brought more to light. Depression's a big thing. If you don't respect boundaries, you're kind of getting walked over. Depression's key, right? It's going to open that door, and that void's going to be wide open. So I think we got to be aware of that too.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anybody else?
Let me ask you guys something, because you're all in relationships, right? Everybody in a relationship? Okay, everybody's in. I'm assuming the ones that take care of their wives and the ones that are, let's say the ones that are in a relationship. Obviously, you give your wife an allowance if she doesn't work, or you contribute to the household and you have your established bills and she has her established bills. I'm assuming it's working like that, right? Because in my life, I'm always going to pay the mortgage because it's my house, right?
Get ready to clip this, Garfield.
Right? So I'm just curious. If your wife overspends. Let's say you know you're giving her $2,000 a month, right? That's more than enough to do whatever she wants, right? And I hope it is. Got a lot of money. That's people's rent right there. But anyways, do you? And let's just say she goes over it and she spends it without your knowledge. And I'm not talking. And she goes over. Let's say you give her 2,000. Let's make it a significant amount. She goes over it 1,000. So she spent $3,000, right? Honestly, how would you guys handle that with her? I'm really curious. Like she's just
where did she get the other 1,000 from if she's
Well, you
getting an allowance?
Well, she have that joint account, and right, you say, okay, honey, every month just take it out of that because I'm going to be depositing money into that account. Let's just she does have access to, not to complicate things. And you know, $1 a month it gives for the groceries. It gives her enough to do the housely things, but she went over 1,000 on something, right? And I don't want to put tell you what it is. Let's just. For the point you went over, how would you handle that? I'm just curious. I'll go with Jonathan first because he's married with kids.
So with that, if you have established, the healthy boundaries and you let communication, be the forefront of your relationship, they should be open with it where the money went and where she needed the money. I think when we're trying to hide it and you don't have that healthy communication line, that's where the trouble comes to line. That's where a lot of relationships fall apart.
So okay, I like that answer. But let's just say she spent it. Would you be upset? Would you go up to her and say, "Baby," like, how would you handle that $1,000 gone that you know you have a budget for it? Like, would you go up to her and say, "Listen,
I live on the philosophy
seriously, this is a happy month"? Like,
I live on a philosophy that we only have control about 80% of our lifestyle. Life finds a way. And then that $1,000 is easily replaced.
Well, here I'll answer.
You wouldn't even
Antoine, can
question
you
her
hear
about
me?
it.
I'll answer, Antoine. I'm married. There's going to be a conversation. The conversation is going to start off with the first question: why did you go over $1,000? Based off of that answer, is going to determine which direction the conversation goes. If it was because there were some extra things that came up, we can deal with that. If it was because she just lost track, we can deal with that. If it was because you was out there spending money frivolously, somebody get that word from me, Vic.
Frivolously.
There you go. If she was out there doing that with the money, then it's an issue. But the thing about it is, like Jonathan said, if those boundaries have already been established, then usually that won't happen. But for this utopian conversation, it did happen. And so you're going to have a conversation about it. You're going to have to address it, and you're going to have to figure out why the extra $1,000 was spent. And then you're going to address it based off of what the reason the extra $1,000 was spent. It could be because, the economy is up and things cost more money. It could be because she switched grocery stores because the meat over here was bad and it's better over here. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that you have to figure out the reason why the extra $1,000 got spent before you can take the conversation to the next level.
The Magic Mike stage play came to town or something.
No.
Go ahead, Coach.
Eggs.
Yeah. There you go. That's
Prove that.
You guys had that discussion. Okay, that's good. Okay, I just thought you guys would just be like, "Oh, no problem." You know what? She doesn't.
Heck no, that's $1,000, brother.
That's what I'm trying. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because the way I was coming across, I'm like, I wonder if these guys were just like, "No, baby, it's okay."
No, I think some conversations are loud, some aren't. It depends, and like that's why you got to have a count. Like, what did you need this for? Especially if you ain't talked to me first.
Yeah. That's the big question. Is why did you not talk to me about the extra $1,000 if we have already have this established?
Right. Okay, good. Okay, we're on the same page with that. Man, I'm curious. Wow, this is great.
And eggs.
I'm only one guy. My eggs aren't expensive. It's only me.
I think the other consequences become a lack of trust, which usually results in a level of micromanagement. Because if you can't manage what's given to you, then at some point something's going to be managed for you. If somebody's gonna be in a relationship and they got a specific role to contribute to it, then those roles get adjusted. Expectation management. Everybody's not good with every single thing, and especially when you left up to your own devices of whatever your relationship is set out to do. Certain duties have to be performed by certain people based on experience and qualification.
Okay, I like that.
Like, you can't give the budget to somebody in a relationship that's bad with money and then expect anything less.
Right.
That means other people have to be honest about their strengths and weaknesses. You have to do a vulnerability assessment on each individual partner that's in there. Like, everybody's going to put their best foot forward. Nobody's going to come into a relationship talking about what they completely suck at, because you never know what you might have to be in charge of when it comes down to the relationship. If you got a poor time management situation, it's going to be certain things that if you got children in a relationship that you're going to have to change your priorities on if it involves you picking them up, the logistics of the relationship. One person is generally more responsible for the logistics of the relationship, and then the other person is more responsible for the resourcing of the relationship. If those roles get switched, that doesn't mean it's going to be a seamless transition. It's always going to be some bumps and bruises and room for improvement, because even the person that does it better than you is going to need room for improvement. So the person that has to switch seats, that doesn't do it on a routine basis, they're going to have a different learning curve. So there has to be grace in place of it, so you can have decent room for adjustment of expectations. So go ahead and clip that one too, huh?
I'm like clipping food tonight, ain't I?
You need to charge him.
Yeah, right.
I think it could be a sign of where you need to have that conversation because your relationship is coming to a halt. That you don't realize that you've changed as a person. You're harder to be approached to, or you're always shutting down the conversation. So that other person's relationship just go ahead and spends the money without talking to you because know you're going to blow up about it. So I think that's a good, reality check to yourself. How am I contributing to this relationship or not?
Situations dictate allocations.
Hey, I'm gonna clip that.
Clip that one.
So, and I'm gonna buy you a book again.
Nick always kills me with that, man.
I'm gonna buy one for Antoine. I'm gonna give it to him for his birthday this year.
Buy Antoine some codes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, all he gotta do is read the book.
No,
he have all the codes.
What are you talking about? I thought I had code.
No, the fact that you thought you had it means you have none.
I got code, man. I'm all code out here.
Hey, Antoine got the cheat codes, bro.
He got the cheat code.
Hey, Coach, man. See that?
Hey,
I love it here, bro.
Hey, clip that.
Coach surprised me with that one, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen in the chat and at home, we're about to wrap up. But before we do, we're going to do our final thoughts. But I just want to thank everybody so far for being here. I really appreciate it. I know some of y'all might jump out at the final thoughts. So I just want to acknowledge y'all before y'all roll out. I appreciate you being here. Hit that like button, share the comments, share the broadcast, write some comments, all those different things like that. So we're going to start. We're going to go around the table. We're going to start off with Antoine first because he's been on it tonight. And you know what? I am kind of afraid that his computer going to go out. So that's why I had to start with you, Antoine. So let's roll with your final thought, brother.
Okay, final thoughts. This is what I see for the final thoughts. I am a communicator. So I say, if you're going to communicate with your significant other, friends, family, set the boundaries. Just tell them. When people say, when's the right time to tell somebody? When it came to your mind. Have that conversation with them. If it's your significant other, you're getting to know her, let it out. Be authentic with her. Be dry with her. Tell her like it is straight up. So there's no guessing game, and you don't have to come back later and correct yourself with it, right? You're going to sit down and you're going to have that conversation. Now, again, you have rules in your house. If she's moving in with you, I'm a neat freak, right? And I love to cook and I love my pots and I love my pans. Everybody knows that, right? So she's going to know these are my boundaries with all that stuff. Be completely open. Be transparent. Don't try to make bad news sound pretty. It's still bad news. Let her know. And once you set those solid boundaries and you have that communication, like, I mean, it's idiot proof, then it's up to her to respect that. And if she doesn't respect it or doesn't want to respect it, then she's not the one for you. And if your family members disrespect your house, then they're not coming over anymore. You're going to their house because, you know, it's your family. You got to go over and say hi. You can't be like, you know, just ban them out. So it's very important that you set those boundaries and make it clear, right? You know, if you're communicating with that significant other, you know how she responds to things. You know how she absorbs things like a sponge. Well, you know, tell her straight up. That's it.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone tonight. Also, the Uncle Junior Network gave me the opportunity to come out here and say a few things. The big thing is, you know, when it comes down to, you know, relationships with your family, kids, your coworkers, we all have boundaries, and we need to find that and get consent where how far we can take stuff. I think we learn from each other. We keep each other left and right on that center line. Keep plumb and everything. Um, just got to be open in communication. Communication's key. And like I said later on tonight, was mental health is key for men, and with bad relationships and not having boundaries, it could really set you in a bad depression. So it is a very very big topic. And once again, I want to thank everybody again tonight.
Understanding consent and respecting boundaries in relationships. First and foremost, I want to say I learned a lot tonight. The first thing that I learned was that it was okay to have boundaries in the first place. Actually, I learned this a while ago, but I'm glad it's being reiterated. It is okay to have boundaries, and people are going to push them just to see how far they can go with you, and you have to stop them when they do. Doesn't mean you're mean or anything like that. It means you respect yourself enough to say, hey, don't do that no more because it's hurting the relationship and it's hurting me too. It's okay. So I guess that's my final thought. It's okay to have boundaries, and it's okay to have respect for yourself and to respect other people's boundaries as well. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you a lame. Makes you a respectable human being. And I think I'm gonna end it with that.
Communicate your boundaries, communicate your standards, communicate everything that you want the other person to adhere to. Because once it's communicated, it's set as a standard. And if you go against that standard, you go against the person. So, and if that person allows you to continue to go over that, they just set another standard. So always communicate what you want to happen. That way, when somebody goes sideways of that, you understand that they have a lack of uh, respect for you and what you think you deserve. So if they have a lack of respect for you and what you deserve, that's when I would remove myself. I would remove myself from that situation because you know what you're working with. And just because, don't let it be like, well, I'm in love and I'm out of love. When it comes to relationships, you have to respect one another. And if where there's no respect, there's truly no relationship.
I like that.
All right. So a few of my talking points, I already put them into the chat, but I'll elaborate on them a little bit further. Objectivity is key. If you can't think from the other person's perspective, you're going to have a hard time getting people to relate to your opinion. So you have to kind of set the standard, set the playing field where everybody has an experience that everyone can relate to, and build on talking points from there. Analogies I find to be very easy to teach from when you have comparable experience. Moving on to anecdotal experience is not a standard. Anecdotal experience used as a rebuttal is usually just something to counter and not open up a conversation for a better understanding and dialogue. It's used as a diversion or a deflection just so you can dead the argument if there is one. When you do that, you lessen the opportunity to gain a better understanding of the other person. So be mindful of when and where to interject with an anecdotal experience, especially when someone's trying to communicate with you. Situational awareness, because being able to read the room lets you know when and where is the time for you to have certain discussions. So a lot of times, if you act in the moment, you're going to act irrationally and emotionally, and those typically lead to more damage control, where it probably just needed a little bit more patience and time to allow people to have cooler heads for understanding and dialogue. Ultimately, you have to think outside of yourself, and that's what this whole set of notes is for me, in order for me to explain to you how important objectivity is, because all of these things amount up to one thing. Man, you don't have no code. If you have a hard time trying to listen to somebody else complete that thought so they can share with you their anecdotal experience, and as it takes away from yours, you have a lack of objectivity. This book is going to help you with that. So with that being said, make sure you check out the code, available on Amazon, bestseller, and find some objectivity so you have a better conversation and better dialogue so you can learn something.
Hey, listen, I love following behind my brother Vincent. I would tell you one of the things I learned.
My name is not Vincent. Don't do that.
I'm joking, man. I'm joking. Now, one of the things I learned tonight is that I can't take myself on at Antoine's house when watching a football game. No, but seriously, when it comes down to boundaries, I think regardless of whatever relationship you're in, I think it's essential that boundaries are established, and not only just that, they are respected as well. I think when it comes down to it, if I am in a relationship with anybody, I think it's one of the things that we have to understand when it comes down to those boundaries. Not only do I respect that person, but I respect everything that surrounds that person. So if that person is married, I respect that person's spouse. If that person, has belongings, I respect their belongings as well. I think that's very essential when it comes down to the individual, because the extensions of that person is a reflection of the boundaries that we appreciate and respect. Also, when it comes down to relationships, I think relationships serves as a reflection of something about yourself. Whatever shortcomings that exist in a relationship, I think it's important that we look in the mirror and self-reflect, learn the thing that the relationship is trying to teach you. So the more that we continue to learn from the relationship, the better we become. And that's just about it.
And I appreciate that, man. There was some great final thoughts. Before we close out, I want to thank all you gentlemen for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys could always be somewhere else, but instead, you guys decided to be over here, have the elevated dialogue, have the conversation, and then use your experiences and your life lessons to be able to share with us and to give, to the audience. So I really appreciate you for that, and I thank you. I also want to give a shout out to the Empowering Perspective community. Mr. Dwayne Dwyer, he mentioned before, Friday, Saturday. Go over there to his YouTube channel. Go over there and check him out. Also want to give a shout out to Natasha and the Bolden Driven EP, Mr. TMI, all of those different things like that. They got a whole show over there. They got a whole network, and they got a couple different shows over there, a couple days during the week. So feel free to go over there, hit the subscribe button, and check out these other two platforms. You can find all of that stuff in the description or in just the channel information itself. Again, thank you to the chat. You guys was lit tonight. You guys showed up like you always do, and I really appreciate that. To everybody else who is out there, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the share button, pass it along to somebody else that that you feel may benefit from the show. And we will be back here next week, same bat time, same bat place, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are out.